Hello, thanks for joining me. I've tried making this video a couple times here, and it's hard not to go on and on. I'm going to try to make this short. I do want to mention that I have a video that I'm putting together, which is not quite ready yet. In the interim, I wanted to do a video about an idea that I've wanted to talk about for a while. And what gave me this idea was a video response that Alex from ReturntoMotherBase made to a video by QuickFreeze4, I believe, which was his 24 games that were a video game bucket list. So it was like 24 games where he's like, these are games that you need to play, before you die. Well, Alex did a video response where he highlighted 10 video games. So I would recommend that you check out his video and QuickFreeze4's video. I may make this as a video response to QuickFreeze4, but I did want to change it a little bit because I want to talk about my personal bucket list. I think being the start of 2013 here still, it's not a bad time to be sort of thinking about the future and setting some goals. And this was a really interesting list to come up with because it's a little bit different than if I were just going to say, well, what are some games that I want to play this year? It's more like, what are those games that I don't want to forget? That these are things that I personally just really want to have played, before I die. So let's get started. And I'm going to try to be quick because this video gets really long. I have 12 games to showcase. I figured like one for each month, and I don't plan to play one each month. My goal is to check off maybe one or two of them this year. I think would be a really reasonable goal. So let's get started. Wizardry on the NES. And, back in the day I played some of these dungeon crawling early PC-style Western RPGs. Notably, Bard's Tale on the Apple IIe. And Bard's Tale was great, but I know that I never played Wizardry. And Wizardry is one of those ones that I think was historically significant on its impact on Japan and its impact on just RPGs and gaming in general in the West and the East, everywhere. So I'd really like to play Wizardry in particular. So that is number one on my bucket list. Next, this is jumping much more recent, is Valkyria Chronicles on the PlayStation 3. It's one of those ones I've just heard really great things about. I watched one of my friends play some of it, and it looks cool. I really think that that history, kind of looking back on this generation and the PlayStation 3 in particular, I think is going to look back kind of fondly on Valkyria Chronicles, and I think this is going to be on a lot of people's should play lists. So it is on my bucket list to really dig into that game at some point. Next up, kind of new and old. This is Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. The reason why I'm showcasing this is for Phantasy Star. Plenty of other games on here that I want to play. In fact, one in particular that I'm in the midst of playing right now, which is Shinobi 3. A lot of fun. I never really got into the Shinobi series. This is one of the first ones that I've played, and it's very fun. But Phantasy Star is one of those holes, I think, again, in my RPG playing history. I didn't really have a Sega Master System, always wanted one. Had a Genesis, but I never really played the Phantasy Star series, so really want to play Phantasy Star 1, start from the beginning. If I like them, I'll keep going, but I just, I sort of want to close the book on that little chapter of video gaming history and actually, get that one under my belt. Another RPG is Magic Knight Rayearth on the Sega Saturn. This is one of those ones that I saw at a store. It was an EB back when it had first come out, and the Saturn was kind of phasing out at the time, and for whatever reason I didn't just get it. And I regretted it immediately. I had every reason to want to get this at the time, and I never saw it again after that in a store. That was the only time I ever saw it on a shelf. So years later, I was able to pick that up on eBay, and I would really like to play that game all the way through and just have had that experience, just to be able to say I have played Magic Knight Rayearth on the Sega Saturn. Next up is on the PlayStation, Gun Parade March. Now, this is a game that seems really interesting. This is an import game, and it's the kind of game that until the past few years, I probably could not have played. In fact, I have a feeling even now, the Japanese is I think going to be pretty intense for this. So I'm looking forward to digging into this one at some point. It seems like it has a really unique system. I haven't played it, so I can't talk that much about it, but there's, it actually says in English on the back here, there's school mode and there's battle mode. So you're playing, I think it's this high school, where these kids, I'm not sure if it's sort of like military related, almost like a military school or something, but you can, I think, like zoom around the school and view different scenes and sort of put these pieces of story together, and then there are also these battle sequences, which seem really neat. So this is one of those ones that it just seems like a really amazing game that we never got here, and I've wanted to play it for years and years. Really excited about checking that off my list at some point. Next up we have Omicron, the Nomad Soul on the Dreamcast. This one is one that surprised me. When I was initially collecting for the Dreamcast, I was just, getting some games that I'd never heard of before, and I popped this one in, and it was just really surprised me. Very interesting seeming game. And it doesn't really surprise me now, because this is an early Quantic Dream game. That's David Cage's company, I believe. So you can really see the origins of what the kind of thing that he's been trying to do with Indigo Prophecy and Heavy Rain and all of that stuff is right here in Omicron. So a very neat looking game that I've been meaning to play for a long time. I think that one is really going to be worth my time. And speaking of time, we have Time Stalkers. I think I've mentioned this game before, same series as Landstalker and Lady Stalker. It's an RPG on the Sega Dreamcast. I've been wanting to play this for a really long time. I think that'll be a really fun one to have finished for the Dreamcast at some point. Next up is Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, this is one of those games. Metal Gear Solid 1, I really liked on the PlayStation 1. And I played a whole lot of it. That's one of those games that I played multiple times, like multiple. It was one that I was almost going to write a FAQ for at one point. Like, I was pretty into it. But Metal Gear Solid 2 came along, and for some reason, I think it was probably because of that demo that they released, where I played it a couple times, and I'm just like, it was just hard to get into. And I think maybe I didn't end up picking up the game for a while, or I don't know how it went, but I've never played 2, and subsequently I've never played 3, and I've never played 4, and it's so ironic because I own them all, so I'm just obligated to play this game, so I can really get, my Metal Gear experience. Definitely on my bucket list. Another one, La Pucelle Tactics. This is an earlier Nipponichi game. Really typical Nipponichi stuff. It seems really cute. It's tactical RPG. Again, I watched one of my friends play this back in the day, some of it, and it looked really great. I have been meaning to play this one. This is one of those ones I'd really like to dig into and actually play a bunch of, because I think it rests in that sort of nice spot where Disgaea is a great game and a great series, but this is sort of not colored by that. So I think it exists in a fun period of time where it really is its own thing, and it doesn't really have to be colored or influenced by that series at all. Up here is Sakura Wars. This is So Long My Love, the only Sakura Wars game that I know of that has been released in the US. And that is the reason why it is on my video game bucket list. I've always been interested in the Sakura Wars games, or Sakura Taisen, but I haven't really sat down and played any of them, including this one. And that's not to say I haven't played this one, because I have, but I've played a few hours of it, I sat down and I might have sat with it twice, but I just haven't played as much of it as I want, and especially I think that this game deserves my attention and my playtime. As somebody who had wanted to have the opportunity to play one of these games for so long, I really owe it to myself to sit down and play that game. So that is on my bucket list. And last up, we have, I guess these are two imports that are a little bit similar vein. We have Welcome to Pikachu 3. This is in a series that I like very much. I've played the first game completely. I have played some of the second one, but the third one in particular, I always wanted to play it. It's kind of the one that I had access to after the first one. It sort of went the first one and then this one. The series was really popular when this came out, and I believe that this was the basis for the animated movie that came out. So, kind of a very, I would say, a significant game in that series, and one I've meant to play for quite some time. And last up is Sister Princess. This is another one that has an anime based on it. This was extremely popular when it came out, and from what I read, it started off as a light novel series, and it was made into a game. There were actually several games. It just seems like a really cute series, kind of a really not really harem comedy, but it's just sort of similar to Welcome to Pikachu, but just kind of a a lighthearted story about this guy who becomes a brother to these 12 girls, I believe. So that's another game that I've wanted to play for a very long time. And that is number 12 on my bucket list for 2013. So, I finally made it through that. I'm really glad. I'm hoping to knock some of these, maybe at least one of these games off of my list here in 2013. So, I might end up doing a video about that when I play it. I hope that you're looking forward to that, and consider your own bucket list. I'd be really curious to hear if you want to do a video response to Quick Freeze 4. I'd love to hear what sort of games you've been wanting to play for years and years and just haven't gotten around to. It would be fun for, I think, for all of us to check a few of those games off of our list here. So that we've managed to really play some games that are significant to us personally for whatever reason, especially if we've been putting them off for a really long time. I will catch you again next time. Hope that you'll join me for some more Japanese video game related videos. Thanks for watching.